Welcome back to Got No Control podcast. I am your host, RONEK. And before I introduce my special guest today, I want to make some announcements. We're starting a new thing called Got No Control After Hours, which is a live stream that's going to be happening on YouTube on our channel every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come in, hang out with us. We're going to talk community. We're going to answer questions, some behind the scene footage. We're going to show you some images that I've been given to by many artists throughout my journey of podcasting that no one's seen. So it's going to be very cool. This will be a way to hang out with us, just talk for a couple hours. So make sure to check it out. Got No Control After Hours, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be there. Also, I want to invite you guys to head over to gotnocontrol.com. Make sure to check out official merchandise. Grab yourself a t-shirt, a hoodie, a poster. This is a way to support what we do to help us to keep going. And with that being said, I want to introduce my special guest today from Long Beach, California, Index. How you doing today, brother?
Good, I'm good. Yeah, Index. That was many moons ago. But yeah, that was my right name back in the 80s and 90s. But some people know me as Swiss Precise.
Swiss Precise.
When I used to rhyme.
Jeez.
And, if you're on Instagram, it's Shark Polanski, but it's all SP.
For anybody that's tuning into this episode that doesn't know who Index is or like who's Swiss, man, you're a pioneer to the Long Beach graffiti culture. And you've done a lot for the movement of Long Beach graffiti as a whole. And that's the story that I really want to get into today. Now to share how involved you were early on in the Long Beach graffiti scene.
Yeah. How involved I was? I mean, I guess you would start back with the crews that were around in those days, right? The 80s, KOS, M2K, RFS, KCC. There was a lot of crews, right? And I was from KOS, Knocking Out Suckers, King of Styles. It's more of a tagging crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of buses.
What part of Long Beach is that?
It was all along Beach.
Okay.
If dependent, like when I say all along Beach, I'm thinking like high schools, right? So there's plenty of people at Poly, plenty of people at Wilson, Milliken, definitely, right? And then it probably transferred over to like Lakewood and Jordan, but KOS was definitely the Long Beach crew at that time.
One thing that you told me that kind of resigned with me that I thought about it like 10 times, I was like, when you told me, Long Beach is the biggest city in LA County.
Yeah.
Never thought about that.
Huge. That's what I'm saying. You can walk through a lot of cities in LA, right? Like within like 30 minutes or maybe a lot less. I mean, but Long Beach is going to take you it's a long walk. Just think from Ocean to the 91 or the 710 to the 605, which it's still, it spans past that. But
yeah, thinking about it, if you're like downtown Long Beach, right by the Ocean Boulevard,
yeah,
and you try to walk into the north side, like where the 91 ends.
That's an all day hike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you take the riverbed walking, it's gonna be a mission to get down there.
Exactly.
How was it for you growing up as a young child in Long Beach, and what part of Long Beach are you originally from?
I grew up on the east side, near Washington Junior High, Henderson and PCH. Used to be a Taco Bell right on the corner. I grew up right there till about second or third grade. Then I moved to the Wrigley, which is right down the hill, 32nd in Oregon, right next to Bernie Elementary School. So I went to Lafayette and Bernie, and then junior high, Hughes, and then my parents didn't want me going to Poly, so they shot me to Milliken.
Because at that moment, what's that school in Santa Fe, the high school?
I don't know. That's a new school.
It was a new school.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. That's way that's new school to me.
Cabrillo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The only Cabrillo I know is the beach, San Pedro.
How is your early days at home? Like, are you part of a huge family, or is it very minimal?
Three sisters, but I was a latchkey kid, so I had a lot of time to do a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So my two of my sisters were a lot older than me. And so getting out of school, you get into a lot of mischief because nobody's home. You know what I'm saying? So I fell in love with hip hop, I guess like 1981, because my sisters were all into the double dutch, jump roping and stuff like that. which I was more into the breakdancing.
How does hip hop enter your world though? Is it through like a commercial, a magazine, or how does that come into your life?
I mean, technically, it would be my older sisters. My older sisters were the ones that were. So my oldest sister's 10 years older than me. So you got to, think in kindergarten, she's in high school, so she's already doing all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
My second sister's 6 years older than me. So she's even, if I'm in kindergarten, she's in 6th, 7th grade, right? So they're already cool. They're doing all the cool stuff. I'm watching them, doing the double dutch or whatever the girls do, but they're listening to a lot of hip hop at that time, right? Whether it be Jack the Rapper or, Rapper's Delight or, any of that, Curtis Blow, Houdini. So again, that pours off into me. I'm into breakdance. And so I get into that. Little by little, you start to see these videos, right? Music videos and you notice the graffiti in the background. Mm-hmm. That stuff caught my eye. Like, whoa, what is that? So then you start digging, right? The books, Style Wars, Wild Style. And there was a few other books that you could get at the Long Beach Library. And they were really cool. It was like a lot of New York culture, New York street culture. Their street gangs were a lot different than ours. They're a little more louder. They almost look like, you've seen Africa Bambaataa and the way all the Zulu Nation guys dressed back in the early 80s. Almost like punk rock is what it looked like, right? Denim and leather and they had all these almost like biker gangs, let's say it like that. So there was these books and in those books you're checking out New York gang fashion, but in the background there's a lot of graffiti. And again, I'm like, man, what is that? And so you start to investigate and then you start to notice, maybe some other breakdancers are writing their name, Mr. Freeze or Iceman, so on and so forth, right? And I was started doing that. I was like, I'm going to tag my name on the curb over here or the bus stop over there. And,
How do you become aware that these books are at the Long Beach Library? Like, does a friend tell you, hey, let's go to the library because I've seen this? Or how does that work?
Well, because you're in elementary school, you do a lot of those field trips. They used to take those field trips were like almost normal in the early days. You would go to this library because what do they want to show you? You have your library here in your elementary school, but the first thing they do is they take you to the library to use the Dewey Decimal System, right? And that's if you know what the Dewey Decimal System, it's today's internet. It's just the same thing, right? You have to go and look through this file. And that's telling you where the book is located in the library. You know what I'm saying? This is old stuff, but so that's how you. Anyway, so you go to the library and you look up art. You don't really know to look up street art or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But these are the things, and you go to the art section, and it's kind of like you're looking for a treasure, right? You're digging through books, and you find these books of New York street. Fashion or pop culture, and that's basically where it, like I said, it started. So you get the books. I think I told you before, like those books ended up being common. It was a normal occurrence to steal those books, and those books weren't getting returned. And this is still before I'm even, maybe 6th, 7th grade. They stopped checking those books out.
Was this like a Subway art or what book?
There's a bunch. I can't tell you okay, so the one book that I speak on a lot, I don't know the name, and maybe some of the older guys would remember. There was a book, and it had a lot of New York street gangs in it, but it also had like Tracy 168 and Phase 2. It had Phase 2's entire style from the bubble letter all the way to the wild style and how it transformed. And that was the book that like, whoa, this is crazy to see Phase 2's. Like there was like a bunch of different styles, and it literally started out with the bubble letter, and then the next is like maybe a rounded block letter, and then some letters with some zigzags and doodads in it, and then on and on. They start to get a little more intricate in 3D.
I know a lot of guys early on in Los Angeles were really influenced by like gang style territorial graffiti. Were you absorbing that here in Long Beach as well?
Oh yeah, and I'm a big fan to say that. Graffiti has always been here in California, just not for fame, right? Like the first neighborhoods probably the 20s and 30s. So those hand styles have been around since then. So stylized writing has been around forever. Those guys just weren't getting up for fame. They're putting their crew down, right, or their gang down, but they weren't doing what, let's say, Cornbread or Taki 183 was doing. Those guys were getting up, and I couldn't even say those. No disrespect, but there was no style to that writing, right? I mean, if you look at any of them, Stay High, they were just regular writing, but they just were doing it for fame. That was the difference.
Because I know, like, in Long Beach, I guess you could say one of the earliest gangs out here would be like a Longo Tag, right?
Yeah.
And their style was like very like block and, cut the letter this way when they're doing their gang territorial style graffiti.
Yeah. No, it was definitely Longo, Playboys, T-Town. There was a lot of different gangs that you don't see here anymore in Long Beach. I mean, you had Barrio Small Town, Barrio Pobre, but definitely Longo is, it is what it is. I think Playa Larga, a few other.
I also wanted to share, bro, because, I mean, we talked about this behind camera, and I thought it was super cool because I didn't know. Your family is, like, deeply rooted in Long Beach, too. Like, where you were sharing that your uncle is the founder of the famous Dave's Burger Stand, right?
Yeah, Dave.
That's super
Dave
cool.
Terry. Yeah. The story was he came here with a couple $100 and got that little booth. It was just like, what was it? It could have been, maybe it was one of those film booths. If people remember I don't know if that's the case, but you remember when you would go get your film made, there were little booths on corners everywhere, whether it was Kodak or I don't know, but you would go and drop your film off, and they were like little booths like that burger stand. And he's had that thing since I could remember, literally since I was a child. And my aunt, obviously she worked there, but my mom would work there on the weekends to relieve.
You spend a lot of time in the little burger stand.
No, I didn't. No. I was too busy. Like I was of my siblings, my three sisters, they did everything right. I did everything.
Opposite.
I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was very, very much attracted to hip hop, right, and street culture. Like that was it. You know what I'm saying? And when they moved me out of the neighborhood, I was still going back to the neighborhood.
Gotcha.
And we all my homies, that's what we did. We were writing graffiti or breakdancing, or DJing. And then you get a little older, you get to high school, everybody started getting into the neighborhoods, but you still share this one thing, and it's hip hop,
Early on in Long Beach, as far as hip hop, what was out here? Like, was there already like a scene down here, or did you have to travel to LA to see more?
No, there was a lot of things going on at the parks. I mean, for us, we would go to Vets Park off of Pacific and what is that? Spring. I lived right there, so it was a lot of action going there. I mean, and then in the summer times, you could go to like the elementary schools, and people would be battling underneath the jungle gym because it was nice and soft,
Like b-boy battles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could go from Bernie or Lafayette to Stevens or to, there's a few other schools on the west side that I would go to strictly because I lived across the bridge. So it was like competition, it was like, oh, there's a guy on the other side of the bridge. We need to get at him.
We need to go get him.
And that's what it was. So what else? I mean, there was a lot of little for young guys like myself. That's what we did. I can't speak for the older dudes. I mean, I know in my neighborhood there was a car club called the Moving Violations and the 510 boys, but mainly the Moving Violations. A lot of those guys were like the extras in breaking. So these were guys that were probably 18, 19 years old when I'm in elementary school, and you'd see them driving around in their cool cars, but then they'd also, you'd hear about them breakdancing at either Radiotron or in breaking, you know what I mean?
Talking about breaking, bro, I didn't even know Poppin' Taco was from Long Beach, man.
Yeah.
I recently found that out like 3 months ago.
There's a lot of history in Long Beach when it comes to, and I don't know if they were technically from here, but there was a lot. Even the guys that were from Insane Crip, there was a guy, Deuce. He was bad, man.
Badass as far as a street dancer?
Yeah, animating.
Yeah.
He was real bad. I'm sure Iceman could attest to that.
At what point do you take like the graffiti aspect of it serious? Like you go from witnessing it, absorbing it, reading about it, but at what point do you tell yourself like, you know what, I'm gonna be part of this?
So I don't know, maybe fourth or fifth grade, I'm hanging out with a lot of Polynesian guys that were from the Whiz Kids and the Time Bandits. This was a breakdancing crew, popping crew, and their older brothers were always drawn. You know what I mean? So there was this family. It was like this. I want to say like 6 brothers. You know, a bunch of Samoan kids, but there was like 2 older brothers that were always drawing. They were always drawing the b-boys and letters. And so here we are tagging on stuff, and we don't really have style, but seeing those guys. That was the next level. Was I want to do 3D letters. I want to do stylized letters, And so maybe from 4th grade on, I start trying to do graffiti in the flood controls, and then we would hit vacant houses. That was the number one thing. Was when a house was being for sale, we would go to the backyard and paint in the backyards. And I think I told you, I got to junior high, was kind of writing here and there on the buses. And this is when the seats were vinyl, so you would just kind of like write with whatever, El Marco or...
So Long Beach had RTD lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Long Beach Transits, you wrote both, you rode both of them. But so that's my junior high route. I would take the bus from Atlantic all the way down to Willow and Magnolia, and then either walk home and that was my way of getting up. But then I started surfing, and I wasn't really doing that anymore. I get to high school, and I notice everybody is doing stylized writing, and they got books, and they're getting crazy with it. This is all the KOSs, the M2Ks. Before it was KOS, it was SOK, and they flipped it later. But and it was because of a beef. It was Superior of Kings, Supreme of Kings, all the different things. And then I think there was a beef between some guys, and a couple of those dudes switched it to KOS and King of Styles. But anyways, so I get to class and I'm seeing all these dudes with the fancy hand styles. Mine was more like a cursive or a piecing style, right? But I did letters. But I didn't show them anything. I was just like, wow, everybody here pieces. That's what I'm thinking. Everybody in this school pieces. So I come back the next day, dig up my piecing book, and I bring it back to, I remember, I think it was Ortho, who used to write Revs. Props to Ortho, he's a good dude. There was quite a few guys. I could go on the list of, dudes that kind of showed me around Long Beach graffiti. Wicket from M2K, Saker from KLS. So many guys.
Are they still around till today?
I think Wicket is still around. Ortho is around, but Saker passed away. These were like Long Beach hand styles is probably hands down. I don't think anybody from LA is fucking with Long Beach hand styles from the 80s and the 90s, and I put that down on my chest. Nobody. I don't care who you are. Long Beach hand styles. We were killing people. So I bring my book, and everybody's like, "Damn! Oh my goodness!" And I'm like, "You guys don't do this?" I'm like, "No, we just tag." And I was like, "Well, I thought everybody that tagged."
So they didn't know how to piece.
No, this was they were just out there destroying, which was cool.
Okay.
Like, okay, this is new to me. Yeah, we got our little tags on, but after walking home from school and getting our tags on, we were in the book drawing, or we're trying to figure out a place that we could go paint. And the paint we had was whatever our parents had in the garage, right? Like, and if it was brown rust color and black, that's what we were using. And then you'd have the good guys, like I was telling you earlier, like the older guys that were painting, they had all the colors. I don't know if they were racking back then or
so there's a generation before you.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's where I bring in the guys like Skez, Alex Castro, Lance, owner of Dada. There's so many of those guys they're like 6-7 years older than me, but the pieces they were doing were full color pieces. You know what I mean? And we're like, man, and they had already had the tips. They're using the tester caps.
What year would you say this is now? You're in high school?
Still in the 80s. No, this is before high school.
Okay, before high school.
So that's what we're trying to be, we're trying to be piecers, right? But when I get to high school, everybody's tagging. And I thought that these guys were all piecers. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of kids, and all the crews were at my high school anyways. if you were getting kicked out of Poly or Wilson for tagging, you were now coming to Milliken, or if you got, you know what I mean? So it was in and out, all these different riders from Long Beach.
Do you think it comes from like the influence of the movies and how they popularized it? Or do you feel like it's just everybody was just trying to figure it out?
I think everybody was figuring it out, but of course, you know, we seen what was going on in New York. We wanted to emulate that style, you know? I mean, in many ways. It's just that we're from California, right? We don't wear bomber jackets and Timberlands and stuff like that. I mean, I was, but it just isn't something that everybody was doing. You know, you're from the West Coast, you can dress like a West Coaster. That's a whole nother thing. Like when people say street fashion, you know, like clothing labels that say they're a street brand, that's kind of weird to me. You know what I mean? Like street brand is whatever you're wearing at the time. You know what I mean? Like however you feel like dressing, that's street culture. People from Hawaii love hip hop. They're not going to dress like somebody from New York or California. Californians aren't going to dress like Hawaiians or New Yorkers and vice versa, right? But all those different styles.
And Hawaii, you'll probably catch a guy with some thong sandals and some shorts and a tank top.
And love hip hop.
And he's diehard hip hop, but he's not going to go and be rocking like some Pumas.
They could break dance. They could do it all. But back to the graffiti, I thought all these guys did pieces. I thought everybody did full color everything, right? No, there was maybe a couple guys, and one was my best friend Akil from NASA, KBHDE, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
He was. I run into him. I didn't even know he painted. We just surfed together. And he was like the only black dude that surfed, and he could get busy. And so he and I find out that we both piece. So we start. That's when we starting crews. We're from KLS, but we started DE in the '80s, and. There was another guy that was really good. His name was Dyer, who owns 1897 and Long Beach Homegrown, I believe. It's a brand. He was really good, and he was also relatives to some really good Paramount artists, I believe, Speed and Presto. Those dudes were good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And they came out of Paramount.
Speed and Presto.
Yeah. And Dyer is and he was the kid from Long Beach. He was good. So there was a few people that painted, but the rest of the school
just hand styles.
And so I learned how to do the Long Beach hand style through a lot of those guys. I also learned how to do a lot of the gang street styles through my homies, right? But I find out there's a cultural center in 10th grade, and they take me to this cultural center. It's called Homeland, and it's on Gaviota and Anaheim. Little loft. I go there, and Dixie Swift is the head of the whole thing, and my good friend, who was not at the time, but he was an OG of Long Beach and Long Beach graffiti and art to this day. His name was Skez, Alex Castro. He was running the show, teaching kids how to paint, how to style, write, how to teach you how to can control everything. So that was the spot. Now we're like, oh wow, we got a place, where we can. So now it was like all of Long Beach, from Poly High, Milliken, Wilson, and anybody that was interested, even if you lived on the other side of El Dorado Park, if you were willing to come down to Anaheim and Gaviota, you could hang out with a lot of the East Side. And I think I also told you that's where I learned a lot about my culture as an half Irish person from the Brown Berets, because the Brown Berets
they had like a headquarters in there, the Brown Berets?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So they would game me on, just the culture of Irish and Mexicans. That was cool. Because
that was the first location of Homeland, right? Because now it's at MacArthur Park in Anaheim.
Yeah. So we had a little wall across the street from Homeland. This is still in the 80s, maybe 89, 90. And I told you, eventually I get arrested. Well, I don't know if you want to go into that yet or... but
before we dive into that, I wanted to get into entering KOS.
Yeah.
Because me coming up, I'm new of KOS, but if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, they went more towards like the gang aspect of things.
Yeah, they were, now I don't know if some of them were heavy shot callers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they were also some of the greatest riders that I could tell, like when it came to Saker and Cyper, those were the first leaders and the second leaders. Those dudes, there was a whole slew of guys, Ghoulie, Chrome, Ruler, and there was just so many. I could go on and on for days, but these guys all had massive amounts of style.
And you met them in high school, and that's how you entered.
Yeah, and Saker and Cyper, which were leaders. One lived on Health Street in 10th. That was Saker, and Cyper lived on Myrtle. They gave me leadership because I moved by Milliken now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave me leadership to put in anybody, because they loved my styles and the throwies I was doing. Like I was teaching these guys how to do throwies. So they were like, go ahead and put whoever you want to put in. You know? So it was crazy because I was putting in bombers, you know what I mean? But then the beefs started happening, right? It's KCC, there was a lot of Long Beach writers that got into KCC. And I think I don't know exactly where the beef started. So I'm not going to really go into that because I know a lot of these guys are still around. But there was a beef, right? KCC and KOS. So there's a lot of people that passed away. I was like, it's time for me to exit stage left because this is not my get down. I'm not, and there was many a times where I was in shootouts over this stuff, and I just was like, yeah, I'm going to start DE. I get on the phone. I call up Akil and Soar and Gyro.
You guys get on the three-way call?
Yeah, I call you, you call him, and then we're all on the phone together, and we're like, yo, I'm really not into this stuff that's going on. You guys want to start this thing that I have going? I had like an idea. Let's just be a bombing crew. We just do letters, right? They're like, let's do it. So, we put together our little crew. All of us got our group of friends that we think should be in it. And from there, we just started to point out who we wanted to battle, and that's what we did. We started terrorizing.
Where does that idea for this DE come from? Like, where does that come from?
Well, we were all a bunch of Rasta kids. So we were always like, fuck Babylon.
Yeah.
Destroy everything.
Gotcha.
That was it. Destroy everything. You know what I mean? Dethrone everyone, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
So the first members, it was you?
Soar, Akil, and Gyro. Yeah. And there was a lot more.
But the main ones.
Yeah. I think all the homies, because there was a lot of guys from KCC that got into DE, a lot of guys from KOS that got into DE.
Because they didn't want to be no longer part of the...
Yeah, and so I think they dug like what we were doing, and we weren't really doing the buses or the streets anymore. We were like, we're going to just bomb the freeways. Nobody was doing the freeways in Long Beach. Really nobody. And so we just started bombing all the freeway signs. I mean, we had like 22 of the freeway signs on the 91, the 605, the 710, and the 405.
So you guys ran the Long Beach and the...
Yeah, hands down. There's nobody that could contest that.
Damn, so you got to see the 710 before anything was up there.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see... there was some LA, like Risk and Power. They brought JA down there. I mean, that was cool to see because we were big fans of JA. I know a lot of people didn't like JA, but we loved because we loved that kind of destruction, right? I mean, Chaka came down. Chaka put up. He looked like he lived in Long Beach the day he came.
So he came in like a...
He had like Long Beach Boulevard, I think like 7th, PCH. And he must have walked the whole damn those streets, like up and down. But he literally had hit it up to where you would think Chaka was from Long Beach. You know what I mean?
Oh, so he came in like a virus, just hit hard.
Yeah. It was like, damn, all right. There was a couple of guys, like the guys from KCC, Storm and Voss, they did the same thing, But there was a lot of Long Beach writers that held it down. I can't take anything away from Long Beach writers. Sure, Demick, Manor, Ender was up.
Coming up for me, on the 710, there used to be, well, there still is, these warehouses.
Yeah.
Right off the 710.
That was a popular spot.
And it was really popular. Like, that's like the first time that I would see Graph and Long Beach. Like, what in the world? Like, there was like full color pieces there, right?
Yeah. And they still seem to, I guess nobody gets rolled up these days. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. I remember my homie D-Sep was bombing that area. I think he might have got rolled up. He had to hide under a diesel truck, and they were able to like fill his heat, with the camera. They knew where he was, but I think I was telling you, like he was the dude that he would steal all the cars. So we would always have like Regals, and we'd be able to go and drive around
and do missions.
Yeah.
But you guys were even hitting the heavens.
Yeah.
Like how did you guys start that?
The first Heaven was me and NASA crew. We did a full color. It was Just 195 and Whitey, myself, Akil, and Gyro. And then from there, it was like my whole crew just went bananas. Spy, DCEP, Arsk. Those three were like the Long Beach version of LOD, you know. Those guys were just bomb, 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 bomb everywhere, like every freeway sign. And Jack was also from KCC and HR, which, you know, he's now in our crew.
Yeah.
And we battled HR.
I remember seeing HR up.
Yeah, we took them guys out. We took CS out. We took BA out. We took a lot of, and you know, that was, and it was funny. We would go and battle, then we'd get into one car, you know, your two leaders and our two leader, and we'd drive the freeways together. You know, and then you'd be like,
okay. And how was KOS taking this? Or like you left them and then
No, they were cool. My homies, everything that I did, I always tried to do it with respect. Like I tell you, you know, like, hey man, I'm just not built for that kind of stuff. And not no sucker shit. You know, like if I'm with you and some shit popped off, I'm with you. I'm not gonna be like, no, I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
But just like, yo, I really love this graffiti shit. I'm not really with all the gang shit. You know what I mean? And
not to mention you got to deal with the actual gang too while you're doing that stuff.
Yeah, because then, you know, a lot of these guys end up getting into the hoods. And so then you don't know where the beef is coming from anymore, right? Because you're like, yo, F you, F this, you know, and you're like, nah, I don't have nothing to do with that. But, you know what I'm saying? And so all my homies were cool. I mean, there would be every once in a while, they'd be like, yo, we want to jump you into.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, nah, or my bigger homies would be like, nah, Kenny does graffiti. Let him do graffiti. And so
I know you also mentioned to me there was a place called Pacific Zone.
Panic Zone.
Panic Zone
was Martin Luther and like Burnett area, right where the green belt. Yeah, it's the green belt. So the green belt runs from Wilson and like, you know where Wilson High is.
Yeah.
You know that there's all the way from the lagoon. There's a green belt, and if you follow that green belt, it used to be a red car trolley.
A trolley?
Back. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That used to run all the way through. I mean, I don't know how far, but you can look at the green belt now. It goes through like Hill and Burnett and all that, all the way up through. And those bridges, just imagine, just full of grass before they are because they built them out now. It's like a full park. It just kind of goes all the way from here all the way to Wilson. It's just a park, right? But it used to just be like an old train line, a trolley line, whatever, and it was just full of grass. But every bridge was a spot, but the main one was the one on California, which is Martin Luther King. It used to be at California before it was Martin Luther King, and that was a spot where you would see like all the OG guys, Ice Age Bombers, Unique Street Artists, Shadow Chasers. Those were all the crews from the 80s, like the mid 80s, and those dudes were amazing. They were doing, you know, the same stuff you could see in Subway art they were doing here. And these guys were, I was just talking to Iceman. He knows one of the major players, you know, and then of course Skez was a major player.
Skez got talent, man.
Yeah,
I've seen his stuff in your studio.
Yeah, but see him on like Lowrider magazine and Sullen. He's always looked out for me. You know what I mean? Like anytime he does a show, whether it was at Homeland and they needed an MC or a rapper or whatever, or if he needed clothing, he always reached out. And then even like to this day, like if he's doing some sort of function or if he just likes to check in, is this something you're interested in? You know what I mean? And that's cool that he always reaches out to me like that.
You know, at what point do you guys tell yourself like, all right, we already dominated Long Beach, now it's time to start branching out to like LA and stuff like that?
We were going out to LA. We were putting DE out there. Then we also had like guys in Carson, South Bay, San Pedro. So they were doing the 110. And eventually they kept it going.
Oh, damn. So D was like a hit here in the harbor. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I run into guys that are from like the Valley and Hawaii and yeah, it's pretty wild. But I think a lot of them think it started in the South Bay.
Yeah.
Which it did, didn't it? Just like D2D, they think it started in the South Bay. or Orange County. I hear it all, and it started in Long Beach. You know, D2D started by a guy named Manor, Tua,
And Long Beach.
yeah, Tua Malaki, which was you know, Toko Tassi from Skunk Records. He passed away recently, but Tassi was also D2D.
How did that look for you, your early entry to LA coming from Long Beach? Did I ever feel like you had to like...
No, I never felt like I was 100% Long Beach. And if you wanted to put it down, you put it down for your city instead of going out and trying to make these guys, you know what I mean? Like we had a big meeting one time, and one of the OG writers, Ender, he kind of put it down because a lot of Long Beach writers were from RTN and KCC. And he was like, why are you guys getting into LA crews? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to make your city fresh, make your city fresh. You know, you hand styles, get up. You know what I mean? You don't have to go to LA to be known. You know, and we took that to heart because that's how I always felt. Like, why do I need to? You know, it's one thing if you're passing through, right? Yeah, get up, whatever. I mean, we did this when the Blue Line, you know, opened up. We took it downtown and wrote on everything.
Oh shit! So you rode the Blue Line when they were like brand new?
Yeah, I remember running into Jin from TNT.
Yeah,
he had a car with the steering wheel was on the other side. Yeah, and he rolls up. You guys right? Oh yeah. And he's all right. Jin TNT, and drives off. He was like in a blue 280. I think it was a blue 280ZX Datsun. And the steering wheel was on the other side. You know?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So when he rolled up on us, he was
on the Blue Line.
Yeah. No, we were on the streets. Now we're in the streets of LA, writing on everything, and he rolled up on us. He used to get up. I don't know if you heard of Jin TNT.
Yeah. Did you ever enter places like Belmontana and stuff like that while you were out there?
Yeah, we used to go out there religiously.
Oh, so you painted at Belmontana?
Yeah, hang out, drink, whatever. Because NASA used to go out there. Like NASA was about, I think they're like, you know, 5 years older than me. They've been doing, I think they're like 40 years deep now, like in the graffiti game. And we would go out there and watch them dudes. I met those guys at a young age racking at Aaron Brothers. And
so you go in Aaron Brothers to rack paint?
Yeah. And you know, where you write your name on pieces of paper to test the marker out, there'd always be a Zebby NASA crew throw ups, and I'd rip those down. I put my index throw up on there, which was like an exclamation point or like the LA hands, but it was the index finger or the middle finger. Anyways, this is back. I would go back and forth, and we were doing this forever. And then one day, some employee walks up on me and is like, "You right?" I'm like, yeah. I was from KOS at the time. I tell him index KOS, and then he told me he was Zebby NASA crew, and that was how we connected. And from there on, I've known those dudes since.
Yeah, because NASA, they come from Cerritos, which is not far from Long Beach, right?
Yeah.
And
they were up everywhere.
And Cerritos, man, they have history down there too.
Yeah, got a lot of history.
I didn't even know that guy from Crooks and Castles was from over there.
Yeah.
I recently found that out. I'm over here thinking he was from like Hollywood somewhere.
Nah, Dennis is a menace. He really is. I mean, in his old days, and then even rapping, you know, he and I have we put out a single together, him, and J-Rock from the Beat Junkies and Discreet Merchants did the production. The first single on vinyl was with D- Dennis of Crooks and Castles, but Dennis worked for everybody too. He's got his hands in everything. Echo, G Unit, Elwood, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that's something he could tell you, but he's pretty amazing. Along with Rich One,
yeah,
that's another guy that's, you know, and then all the Beat Junkies. A lot of Cerritos they're a big deal for West Coast hip hop.
Yeah, they've been involved a lot, and it's like I'm just like, damn, because I know Cerritos very well, you know.
Yeah.
When I meet them and we talk and they tell me, I'm like, oh wow, you guys are just right on the corner.
Yeah. That's where the Aaron Brothers was too. It was in Cerritos. It was across the street from the Cerritos Mall.
Because you're going from Long Beach all the way to Cerritos?
We were going everywhere.
So you were racking it anywhere but Long Beach?
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't have, like, Orange County didn't have any graffiti going on. I didn't remember any graffiti. So we would go to the Aaron Brothers or any kind of standard brands, and you just rack. And the cash register would be in the back. and the paint would be in the front. So we would duffel bag up and just boom. And then if there was like a National Lumber or something like that, you would take all the paint and the scribes, all the Arrowhead scribes. I mean, and Arrowhead scribes, you could take $10,000 worth of scribes and be out. You know what I mean? Literally, like,
Damn.
and you'd have big scribes, little scribes, all kinds, and then the OG scribes, if you could, you could find them there, but mainly the Arrowheads, and then you just put them in a ballpoint pen, and
and go
scribe everywhere though, anywhere outside of, because Long Beach was burnt. It was burnt. You know what I mean? Like, as far as, there was a couple of places, and some of those stores wouldn't allow you to, like, if me and you walked into the store, they'd tell you only one person.
Oh, because they started catching on.
Yeah, and they would tell you, like, he can't come in. You can't both come in.
It's not like today. Like, everything seems so accessible if you have the amount of money to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, the kids don't know. I mean, it was the same for buses. The buses would eventually, once they caught on to, because we got away with a lot of stuff because we surfed. So we'd be on the bus, and the bus driver would be like, I'm going to lay over right now. You guys can stay on the bus. People were like, how you guys doing full window scribes across the entire, like, we're traveling, each window, boom, 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 letter. And we would do that forever, years. And then eventually they caught on. It was like, these fucking kids right here, it's them. It isn't the dudes in the fucking khakis and the LA Gears.
It's the surfers.
It's the surfers with the boards. You could put the board up too on the bus, right? And so that you would sit behind the board.
Yeah.
And you'd just be hitting the bus driver's side. But eventually there was times where a lot of, like, me and Akil would be sitting on the bus bench, and the bus driver, and we'd have people with us, old people waiting for the buses. They just drive right by us.
Yeah.
The old people be like, what the hell? It's like, oh, they know it's us.
Were you around, bro, to witness the upbringing of some of Long Beach crews that are now here?
I mean, I've always paid attention. Yeah. Like all the ICK, Huma, I mean, those are, I think, when I think of Long Beach, I think of those dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, and then of course, Rick, Steam, Coed, I think Luxor. There's probably a few more. But those dudes.
I know ICK's they've been putting pressure for a long time.
Who?
ICK.
Yeah. They used to come hang out, but I think a lot of those dudes were kind of upset with me because I didn't always allow them around me because I was older. I was really weird about that. Like, I had a lot of homies that want to hang out, but they were like younger. I was like, don't bring him around.
So you wouldn't catch a 30-year-old index hanging out with a 16-year-old type thing?
Nah, you know what I mean? Like, and then that was with even guys in my crew. They would bring certain people over, and I'd be like, you can't be bringing them around here. Because we were drinking and drugging, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want no little high school kids hanging out, you know what I'm saying?
Something happens and shit goes sideways.
Yeah,
real
just
quick.
all of it. I mean, and I was bred a little different from the kids today. They want to be cool and, smoke and drink with these little youngsters so the youngsters can go say, I was hanging out with. That wasn't really my thing,
The first ICK member I ever met was Gallon.
Gallon?
Yeah, he was the first one I met.
I see him around. I still see him around. He's a good dude. My dude was Jedi. Yeah, he and I recorded a lot of music. He would come to the house. I would wheel him upstairs. Yeah, he's fun. I think he moved out of Long Beach, but he was a fun dude. I
know you're also heavily involved in designing, right, for streetwear.
Yeah.
How did that come about for you?
When I got arrested, I had to do something, right?
Yeah.
So I get arrested. I started a clothing line. We do a trade show. We did really well, like really well.
Was this like a magic type thing?
The ASR, the Action Sports, in 1992. I think one booth over is Rec Shop, which was Rich's clothing line. Across from me was Pervert, which I think ended up, I don't know what line. Actually, I don't. But then Shorty's, the skateboard company, was like right next to us. And all they sold was screws and bolts. Literally screws and bolts. And they ended up being really big in the skateboard scene later, right? And we all had like little 12 by 12 booths, but we literally had like 4 designs and 2 hats, and being 18 years old making like $100 and something thousand was a pretty big deal, being in Urban Outfitters. And
so your brand took off.
Yeah, it did.
What was the name of the brand?
It was called Head Change. It was like a weed company. Yeah. And we were literally, that's what we looked like. We did not look like salesmen. We were like this.
You want to get one, man?
Exactly. I'm like, we were probably not the right guys to be sitting at a booth, you know, because we were like high as hell. And then we had a group of guys that was like robbing and stealing from everybody.
Yeah.
And they were putting all the stolen merchandise in our booth. Nobody caught us, but that was funny.
But fast forward from that, you've had the opportunity to work for other companies as well, right?
Yeah. MTV, Discovery Channel, Split, Hurley, 555.
When you say 555, like 555 Soul?
555 Soul. Jamie O'Brien, which is a really big surfer today. Kano McGee.
And it's all like graphic design.
Yeah, graphic design. Spencer Pratt, Heidi Mon, his wife, Heidi, whatever her name is. Yeah.
That's dope, man. You've been able to really dabble into the streetwear world.
Yeah, there's a lot more too. I mean, I do a lot of the boring stuff too, you know?
Yeah.
Real estate logos or, you know, menus and restaurant stuff. I'll whatever, you know.
Gotcha.
Illustrator, Photoshop. And now we have the iPad and Procreate, so that makes things a lot easier.
Do you have like a favorite one that you've done, like for a company?
I will tell you this: the ones that Spencer Pratt had me do, it was all he was doing crystals. These weird. He made crystals, right? So all the names of the crystals, and he had thousands of them, and he was like, "Ken, can you just do your throwies?"
That's what he wanted?
That was it.
Oh,
so I did. And he was like, I don't want you to spend any time on them. I just want you to do throwies. So it was fun and it was easy. It was like I took a Sharpie, or maybe I can't remember if it was a Sharpie or it might have been Procreate, and just one-lined everything. And,
oh, wow.
And yeah, it was fun. It was like, you don't get those kind of clients, right? Like every once in a while, I have a lot of people like, Ken, do you? And I do me. And then they're like, oh, I thought you were going to do that one style.
And so they wanted something else.
Yeah. Instead of,
like, bro, you told me do you.
Just do you. And you do you. And then it's like, oh, I thought you were going to do like sharks, or, oh, I thought you were going to do waves, or, oh, I thought you were going to, you know, it's funny. It's always do you until you do you. And then.
You know, to add some context, right? Later down the road, these two brothers that are police officers or whatever come into Long Beach, and they do this whole thing where like they trick writers into thinking that they're looking for cast for the movie that they're putting together of Graffiti. So then all these guys start coming in to think.
So the brothers that you're speaking of were the Folks brothers, right?
Yeah.
They worked for Long Beach Police Department. Long Beach Police Department didn't come get me. It was LA County Sheriffs.
Okay.
So the LA County Sheriffs.
But it came from them. They
those guys focused more on a lot of the downtown Long Beach riders.
Okay.
And like I said, we were doing the freeways. We weren't really mobbing streets.
Okay.
So a couple of my homies go do this like BBC interview with this. They were undercovers. And they're like, yo, Ken, they wanna do an interview with you. Which is funny because I think a lot of my homies, and there was a lot of other writers that were like, "Oh, we get our styles or letters from Index." So they were just burying me without knowing it, right? And so I'm like, "Fucking, I'm down." And I remember I hit like a couple of I hit Zebby up. Zeb's like, "Nah, I'm cool." I hit Sora up. Sora's like, "Nah, I'm cool." So me and Gyro write out basically a thing saying they can't entrap us.
Yeah.
You know, like a contract, and we make them sign it. And then a couple weeks later, it was funny, not even a couple weeks later, the very next day, a couple other homies wanted to go do the interview because they were supposed to be open for everybody. You know,
what was the interview for though?
BBC, which was like an English broadcasting channel, British broadcasting channel. They were doing things on street graffiti.
Oh, okay.
But it was LA County Sheriffs. They you know, and that's what I get for wanting fame. I've never really been that dude. I was always like, fuck Babylon, you know, like just destroy it. But so we go back the next day to bring the homies, and it's closed. Like they're not even open no more. They literally, after me and my homie went, they shut down. They were like, we got the dude.
We got the one we wanted.
Yeah, they wanted the DE crew. It was just the DE crew. And so weeks go by. Next thing you know, the sting unfolds on the news, and they talk about this for like a week.
So they're coming.
We already know. So I mean, we clean out the house, and I know Gyro did the same thing. Like, we didn't have much when they came, but it didn't matter. They had the evidence of every writer in Long Beach, or not every, but the guys that went in there and would speak on us, and guys from the crew. And then we battled. We battled during that interview. We were like, oh, we're actually battling. I don't remember who it was.
So you guys, DE was battling another crew,
and we were killing it. Like,
and they even used that against you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So they had all the freeway signs and all the footage of the battle. And
is this footage out there?
I don't know. I think if anybody had it, it would be Gyro. But I don't. We don't speak. You get older and
yeah,
so on and so forth. But so they basically wanted to put us away, and it was kind of weird because it was my first offense. I hadn't been arrested for anything. I always that was like my bragging rights. Like, all my homies were 6-7 times getting arrested, and you get arrested, you want to brag about it. Oh, I just got back from LP, or I was over here in Wayside, and this, that, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool. You're just horrible at what you do. You know what I mean? And then, so yeah, they tried to, for my first offense, they were trying to get 3 years, right? And even though we had this piece of paper, they're trying to break you. Like, that's the main thing. It's like, it's cool, you can have the paperwork, but we're going to take you to fucking court every day of the fucking, until, So if you guys lose, you're going to go away for 3 years. That's what they're scaring you with. Or if you just admit you did it, then this is what's going to happen, And we fight it for like a year, and then eventually, before it goes to like actual Superior Court. And it was Superior Court, but we're just doing all the preliminary bullshit.
Yeah.
And so we finally we did it. And so they gave us like 3 years, 500 hours, and a shit ton of restitution to pay.
That's some BS, man.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I always say it like this. I was for a guy for his first offense. I have homies that were arrested for graffiti 6-7 times, and at that time they were getting slaps on the hand.
I just find it interesting though, because like, even though they're doing their job, and you can't be mad at them for doing their job, right? I mean, there's other things that you could really be focusing tax money into,
that was what our lawyer was saying. Then we find out the lawyer is a fucking judge, and
man, so it was a crooked lawyer from the beginning.
Yeah, and he was, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. None of that happened, and it was crazy times. It was like, so when we did a year of court, and once a month, and then it happened to be April or May. We had to go to court twice, and it was during the riots. So we were in South Central. Everything's on fire. It's crazy. I'm like going to court, like, man, this is wild. Everything's on fire, and it's shit to remember.
Long Beach Court wasn't here at the moment.
I wasn't arrested by Long Beach.
Oh, yes, right.
It was by LA County Sheriff. Even when they wanted me to do community service, it was across the street from Jordan Downs, and the first day I go there, I'm high as a fucking kite, and they tell me, like, we know you're high. Next time you come in here, you're off, And I ask them, the next time I come in, I ask if I could do my community service in Long Beach, and they said, if you know somebody. I happen to know Dixie Swift, right? So I go to my probation officer, and I think I told you this story. She had graffiti just like this, right? I go into her office, and she's got like graffiti on the walls, and I'm like, oh, you like graffiti? And she mentions it to me that she knows Dixie Swift. I'm like, I know Dixie Swift. And I'm like, you think I can do my community service with her? She's like, yeah, if she's willing to have you. So I immediately go to Homeland, and Dixie's like, I'm the first person that she would ever have.
So you're the first person ever to do community service in Homeland.
Yeah. And so she's like, yes, I'd have you, Ken. So then I tell Gyro that I'm doing it there, and he's like, can you get me in there? And I was like, yeah, I'll tell her. And she was like, yeah. So it's both of us.
I just want to say, I didn't know her personally, but I just wanted to give her flowers and thank her for everything she did, and may she rest in peace. And I hope anybody out there that knew her come together and do something in her memory.
She was awesome. That's all. She was like this hippie lady that lived in like Echo Park.
Oh, wow.
She was a straight hippie. And she would drive every day from LA. And I was still kind of messing around on the freeways.
Yeah.
So I'm doing community service. She knocks off 100 hours right away. She's like, I'm just going to knock 100 hours off. And then she buys us, I want to say, hundreds of spray cans. She literally, she's just like, you guys go paint the wall back there. And that's what we did.
And Homeland.
At Homeland. And so I was able, it's a long alley, right? But we only have one wall. So then I get the rest of the walls all the way down the alley. We're painting every day, smoking weed, drinking 40s, 18 years old. And she would come back there every once in a while, like, Ken, I don't care. I don't mind the drinking but the smoking, you can smell it all the way across the street. And every once in a while we get jacked for our paint by the East Siders. And but it was fun. And I eventually brought the NASA crew there. NASA crew would bring MSK and AWR there. They brought Cause, so Cause painted Homeland. So I was getting a lot of slack kind of for bringing these LA riders to Long Beach at the time, because they're like, why, but these were my homies. So,
the Long Beach guys were like, hey, bro, what are you doing? Bringing them over here.
Yeah, they weren't really big on it, but eventually,
I'm sure it was the same way in LA though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can't just go anywhere to paint, right?
Yeah.
You gotta, and if you get the okay, you don't want to blow it out. I wouldn't say that they blew it out.
Yeah.
But we had plenty of wall now. And then we had another wall. Skez had this other wall, and we brought the A-dubs and NASA over there. And then there was like a beef between Skez and Tyke and Summit.
Yeah.
That was fun. But yeah.
Shout out to all them guys, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into one last story before we get out of here that you shared with me that I thought was super crazy. So I want to get into before we get out of here. So for anybody that don't know, there used to be a festival in downtown Long Beach called Bob Marley Festival.
Yeah.
That was in honor of Bob Marley, to celebrate him, and some of the most iconic reggae singers would come down there to perform.
Yeah.
Everybody smoke, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So you tell me.
Oh, we met chicks?
You met some chicks from Calabasas there.
Yeah, my buddy Spy, he meets these girls from Calabasas, and he's dating this girl, and he wants to visit, So he's like, they got a lot of friends. So we started going out there every weekend via the RTD. And at this time, we were already arrested. So when I get arrested, we start KB. Mm-hmm. So we have KBH now. And we would bomb the RTDs, get off on the Ventura Boulevard, and pretty much walk. I can't tell you the streets, but wherever that bus would get on the freeway and take you to Ventura or Calabasas and get off on Ventura Boulevard.
Oh, so this is the mission from Long Beach to Calabasas.
Yeah.
Okay.
RTD.
RTD.
I mean, we're killing the bus every time we go. Like, the bus is destroyed, KBH, and then we'd get off on Ventura Boulevard, and we would do throwaways up and down Ventura Boulevard till we got to Calabasas. And the 101 runs along Ventura Boulevard too, so we would even jump on the 101 and do throwaways on And this is all, like, again, I'm not supposed to be writing at all, because they're like really wanting to. Then they would do the checkups too. They would just pull up at my house. It was crazy, like the shit they were doing to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys don't do none of this shit. But it was LA County as opposed to all my homies being arrested by Long Beach.
Gotcha.
That was different, but and at that time you had, I think MSK was. I mean, they were definitely around, but the guys I remember getting up at that time was like Gank and Adam and a few other dudes. They were all writing, I think JOR, just out of rehab, and then I think Adam was from UTI. I mean, they would all party at this weird little hill. It was like a hill that everybody would party on, you know what I mean? And we would roll up there in like a beat up sedan, 7-8 deep. Like every once in a while we had a guy that had a car, right? And
yeah.
It would be like super hoopty, and we'd roll up and have the shittiest fucking car. And a couple of times the cops would roll up on us because we had the shitty car. We weren't driving a Mercedes or a BMW. And when I say a sedan, it was probably like a 1970, who knows? I don't know. But I remember they pull us out of the car, and there's like 7 of us, and we all smoking weed. And my homie Chicho, he's like smoking the weed while they're pulling us out.
So Long Beach guys get to Calabasas.
Yeah.
The girls that you guys are hooking up with already knows what we know as today as the MSK guys.
Yeah, yeah.
So that brings you guys all together in one hill in Calabasas.
Yeah, yep.
How were they to you guys? Because I'm sure they didn't know about Long Beach much.
No, I mean, but again, this is like early 90s, so I don't even know how serious, like, because A-Dub was around. Like I said, they were painting Homeland and stuff. MSK was, I didn't really see it up too much at the time because I know AWR was like the crew.
Yeah.
I think MSK stemmed off of that. Did it stem off in the 90s or, in the early 90s? I don't know. I just remember seeing GK was writing Gank at the time, right? And Juice.
How was it meeting those guys? Because like you coming from Long Beach, you get there, you see them. Is it kind of like, hey, what's up?
We didn't care. We were like my group of homies were just a crazy bunch. It's
Okay.
like a bunch you wouldn't even see together. If you saw us, you'd be like, damn, look at those dudes.
What are they doing over there?
Yeah. At the time, Spy was completely tatted up. In 1990, 91, 92, you didn't see too many guys like.
So these innocent girls from Calabasas just wanted that street dude.
Yeah. Jack, who had like crazy dreadlocks, and there was quite a few of us. It was crazy experience.
Dope.
And then from there, that's where we can go into that later, but that's where the music career takes off, and so
Did you get into MCing?
yeah, and that's a whole nother. Like I said, that's a whole nother ballgame. Like then you start traveling and working with all the people that I've worked with, which I've been lucky,
Dope.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, brother, for stopping by today. It was a dope conversation.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Is there anybody out there you would like to give a shout out to?
Oh man, so many. I mean, moms for always putting up with my shit. And then all the guys that I've been inspired by, whether it be Skez, Lance, Dada, Discreet Merchants, NASA, KBH, DE, and my two of my favorite graffiti artists are Totem and Abel.
Shout out to